Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. This is A-Team Adventures and today's video is about our summer in Washington State where we saw lots of wildlife, a concert, and Alex is going to be giving you some updates from the lift project, so make sure to subscribe if you haven't already.
This week on the lift project, a lot of what we're going to be looking at is excavation and foundations, and then towards the end we're going to be doing some flying concrete, which is the scary stuff. This is the hole for the drive foundation at the bottom. It's nothing to look at just yet, but soon there's going to be a whole rebar cage in there. Before we could build any of our foundations, we had to remove the old ones. So we had a contractor company come out and excavate a whole bunch of that concrete. We actually saw some elk on the hill while we were doing all that work. They were not bothered at all by the sounds. I always feel super lucky when we get to see wildlife, especially big herds like that. And the top has just been so beautiful recently with the grass blooming and all the flowers blooming. The mountain is just so gorgeous. We were even super lucky and got this fox walking up right behind our van. He was so cute and fluffy. It took us multiple days to get that drive foundation hole ready. You can see that big loader truck. That was actually something I got to do, which is really cool. It was the biggest truck I think I've ever driven. But the hole's really starting to take shape, and soon we'll be putting the rebar down inside of it. This is Tower 3 excavation hole. You can see just how much runoff water collects overnight. We do some scary stuff during this job, but definitely one of the scarier things is this right here. Driving an excavator down these steep slopes so we can put the forms in the holes. Super sketchy, but honestly we didn't have any problems. Every time I go up to the top, I find myself wanting to take a video because it's so gorgeous. Finally, we're on fly day, and this is definitely one of the scarier things that we do for this job is catch concrete buckets. These buckets weigh like 500 pounds, I think, or something like that, and we're just grabbing them and dumping them in the hole. This is the foundation for Tower 9, I believe, and we had a few teams working on different towers that day. After pouring the bottom mat, we kind of have to let it sit for a little while before we can pour the rest of the column, so we end up finishing the bottom and then work on the top. It's always crazy watching him peel off from dropping a load. You can really see the blade wash from the helicopter in this video, and he keeps it so steady. Here you can see what it looks like when we're all finished and it's securing. We'll come back in the next couple days and start stripping the forms of all the wood. We have to put them in those waste management bags so we can fly all the lumber out later. The guys really give good perspective of how big those foundations are.
On the weekend, we made it down to town for the Sierra Farrell concert in Tacoma. And this was at Dune Peninsula at the Point Defiance Park. It's a new venue in Washington, and it was an absolutely amazing venue right on the water. We saw seals and sea lions. I'm not sure which exactly, but they were so cute. And we actually saw some orcas splashing out in the water as well. We got some pizza and sat on the lawn, and we were also treated to an absolutely amazing sunset. We were definitely lucky with the weather, with it being an outdoor concert, but it was absolutely perfect. I've been a fan of Sierra for a long time now, so I was super excited to see her in person, and this amazing venue just added to how great of a night this was. Sarah looked absolutely gorgeous.
After that fun weekend, it was back to work, back hiking the line. Luckily, all these flowers were blooming and it was so pretty. We had to backfill all those towers that we poured concrete for, but luckily the weather has just been absolutely amazing here in Washington. Here, we're finally putting the rebar cage down in the hole for the drive foundation. It really looks crazy sitting on the crane like that. Kind of like the fabric of time or something. We slowly inched it in, but no problems, easy picking. Just like the tower foundations, we have to pour the mat first, and we'll come back and pour the column area on a later day, but it poured really nicely.
Now for another day off adventure, we went up to Mount Rainier National Park. It's clearing up. It was a foggy day, but it was still beautiful up in the alpine meadows. Those flowers looked like something out of Dr. Seuss, and it was still super cool to hike around in the fog, but we did have high hopes of seeing the sunset that night. On our hike, we saw some deer, and they were just walking along in the forest with not a care in the world, eating some plants. They were all young-looking bucks with small horns, so it was very cool to see. This family was looking at them as well. We did see 3 of them in total. We're thinking maybe they're brothers. I believe that these are mule deer, which are native to the Washington area. Back at the trailhead, we saw a pretty view of the sun setting through the trees and started heading down the mountain. In our rear view, we saw that the mountain was starting to come out, so we turned the car around and started heading back up to the sunrise area. It is always just so magical whenever Mount Rainier comes out, so it was really cool to see the clouds going in and out. They were moving so fast. This is sped up, it's a time lapse, but in real life, it really felt like they were moving so fast, just sweeping these clouds through the valley. We went all the way back up to the visitor center area to get the best view of the mountain with the alpine glow, and it was so stunning. The mountain turns this purpley pink color, and it was just so gorgeous. This is the highest elevation area you can drive to in the park. We spotted a fox heading out into the forest. Thanks for watching today's video, and subscribe to make sure you see the next one, because we'll see you next time.